Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Thank everybody for coming today. Christine, do we have anybody on Zoom?
We have the fire chief and we have Ashley Flores.
Okay. I will take care of the roll call duties. We have Diane Parker.
Yeah.
And Eric Segovia. And Eldon Merrick. Greg Pruitt. Mike Rackler. Eldon Merrick. Did I say that twice?
Yeah.
Okay. That's our Thomas DeWitt.
Both of them, Jim.
It's the glasses. And my name is Mike Davidson. Honorary mention of Ursula Parker, general manager from Roosevelt County Water Co-op. On today's agenda, we have a presentation by Roosevelt County Electric Co-op. This is a special meeting called for this purpose. So that is all that's going to be presented today. So if I could have a motion to adopt this agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And anyone opposed? So our agenda is adopted by unanimous consent. I did not see or receive any copies of the minutes of the previous meeting. So the approval of the minutes can be dealt with at a future time. And we will be discussing items specifically on the agenda, and we will conclude with members of the Water Advisory Group, city staff, and the public having the opportunity to comment for up to 3 minutes. As a point of order, please indicate if you wish to talk and you will be given the floor. And please respect while someone has the floor and let them speak without interruption. So at this time, I would turn this over to Mr. Segovia for the RCEC presentation.
All right, thank you, committee. Appreciate you guys meeting with us today. Did want to introduce my board members that are in attendance today, if I can. So we have Janet Collins, our board president, Charles Bennett, board vice president, Chris Duncan, and Leon Nall. And so thank them for thank you guys for coming and joining us. Without them, we wouldn't be moving far on this project, so it's good to have their support. You ready, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just jump right into it. So of course, Roosevelt County Electric Co-op, as you all know, just a brief recap, has been working on a water project. Again, we've seen water stall the business of the electric co-op, and so we've wanted to get involved in finding a water solution for our community as a whole. And so that way we can get back to doing business at the electric co-op as well. So outside of just helping the community. But since then, our project has really taken off. We've accumulated a number of wells. I'll let Kendall Mudgett get into the details here in a little while. We found some really good water, good quantity of water. And the pump tests that we've done have been tremendous, and we feel really good about our project. And so I think we're at the point now we've worked enough with the engineering group, and then our in-house guys as well, putting a plan together that we're ready to present a plan. We're hoping to get a conceptual design approved soon with this committee, and that way we can move forward with future steps. So, but I think really to set the stage for the presentation, we really need to look at the water usage of the city. And so the first slide comes out of the 2023 Water Conservation and Use Report for the city of Portales. And if you look at that first bullet there, on average, the city uses about 1,700 gallons per minute. And so of course they peak higher. They may have some times that there's not as much usage in the winter, or whenever time that may be, but on the average, it's about 1,700 gallons a minute. I think Kendall added a few different other lines there, but that's the big one to me there. And so that will help us. If you look at the last bullet there's been a decline in pumping capacity of about 100 gallons per minute a year since 2002. And so luckily the city has multiple wells has been able to rotate some wells around and keep us rolling. But I think it's time, to offer some other solutions. I know the U pipeline is underway and will come in a few more years. I just think that our water situation is a little more urgent than that. And that's what's led the Roosevelt County Electric Co-op to get involved. And so we have a good plan for auxiliary water to the city. So if we can move on to the next slide, please. There's the simplified diagram as we'll have, you see the Blackwater well field that ties into the Johnson Hill tanks. The Sandhill well field's not on this diagram, but ties into the city. And then roughly we come in from the southeast portion of the city is what we're proposing. You see the bottom right there says alternative 2. We've been working with DDS&A on several options. They've presented 3 final options to us. The other 2, I don't think Roosevelt County Electric Co-op is interested in. And so we're bringing to you alternative 2 is what we recommend out of the alternatives that were recommended to us. So basically we have a well field. We pump the water up to a storage tank. We'll treat the water and then pump it into a storage tank. And then use a pump station to match pressure with the city and inject into the city system. And so, if I can go to the next slide, please. And so roughly, if we're talking general area, you have the city of Portales well field up in the top right of this diagram. And so, of course, as we know, it ties into the tanks out on Highway 70 and then comes into town. And so you'll see in the bottom left, the project area for Roosevelt County Electric Co-op and the wells that we've either purchased or are investigating currently. And then we have a proposed point of delivery at the southeast portion of town where we propose to tie into a 12-inch water main, which should give us the ability to distribute this water across the entire city. And so I wanted to add one more diagram that wasn't available when I emailed this out. And so we actually just printed this diagram. It's a very similar, and I'll turn it around for the audience to see soon in just a second. But very similar diagram, but a little bit more detailed. I'll lay it a little bit more detailed. So you see the well field. This has a Sandhill tanks or Sandhill well field coming into the tanks. Then you can see this thicker pink line is the 12-inch line, and so we propose to find the 12-inch line with our well field and injecting. So if anyone would like to see it any closer, I can let you look up. It's a little bit more detailed image of what's on the screen. And so as I was pointing out for them, there's this thicker pink line, there's a 12-inch main, and down here in the corners where we propose to inject into the system. I'll set that aside for you. Okay, yeah. So then this right here, just a closer look at the project area and point of delivery. We do propose to put the tank storage and booster station on Road 7, as it's depicted in the picture here. So that'll be the location, and of course there'd be a transmission line in between there and point of delivery. Exact route of the transmission line to be determined as we figure out easements and so on and so forth. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kendall to tell you a little bit more about what he's done since he's been with RCEC. He is from has a background from a prior water company, and he has a lot of expertise. We've been very pleased to have him on board, and he's been better than we even thought he was going to be. And so we're very, very pleased with him and the knowledge that he's brought to the project. So go ahead, Kendall.
As Eric said, my name is Kendall Mudgett. Short of it is, I did work for a utility company, a water utility company, prior to coming here. With that utility company, my duties range from working in the field on the distribution lines to doing well maintenance, well repairs, investigations of those wells, construction of the wells, things of that nature. got to talking to these guys and saw how passionate they were for their community and members, and just had to be a part of it. It's something that I think is a great deal, and there's a need, and I think we have the solution. So with that, as I'll kind of dive into this real quick, as Eric stated, you can see where our proposed booster station is going to be in 2 tanks. And our point of entry, which when we go into the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more. We can go to the next slide, please. So with this, we are currently in the process of getting our basis of design done with the engineers. We're working closely with them to get that done to become a licensed public water system. Whenever you're a public licensed water system, you follow the same rules as the city. You know, we got to meet NED standards on everything that we're doing, and from the water quality to make it good potable water. With our project, we are developing a state-of-the-art well field with full SCADA capabilities, controls with all those booster stations, everything like that. We can control everything in-house. If you don't know much about RCEC, Eric can speak a little bit more of this, but we have probably one of the most state-of-the-art SCADA systems currently for the electric, and we're able to use some of our existing methods and translate them over to water very easily. We're actually in the process of a pilot program to set up to be able to start working those very, very, very soon. Right now, RCEC's goal is to deliver up to 1,000 gallons a minute. 1,000 gallons a minute. That would be 50% or 58% of the average water use, according to the conservation and use report that we got from the city. With that, on the project, we're currently investigating 35 wells. Out of those 35 wells, we already own 29 of them, which is huge. We have a large array of wells to choose from. Some of them are high producers, some of them are about middle of the road. So we're able to kind of weed through them and pick out the ones that we want to use. With that, our storage will consist of 2 750,000 gallon tanks. That will leave us a total storage of 1.5 million gallons of water. Next slide, please. I added this in because I think it's a very cool topic to talk about. Conservation. We're already taking conservation efforts by purchasing this water. Most people don't realize that, but whenever we're purchasing this water and converting it to municipality, our production gets limited. As a farmer or in the agricultural world, you're allotted 3 acre feet per acre to be able to water. Whenever we convert that over, you now get restricted to 1.29 acre feet per acre that you can produce. So with that, by taking those wells out of agricultural use, we'll be saving 780 million gallons a year out of production. So that's a big win for us. And whenever you break it down a little bit more, that's 86% of what the city pumped on average, according to their report. So with that, I will actually turn this over to Preston to talk a little bit more about the next slide.
Okay, so I've never spoken from this side, so this is a little bit intimidating. So thank y'all for having us this morning. I'm just going to pretty much talk about the relationship that we'll have, the city and the electric co-op. We need to continue on C12, meaning not-for-profit entity. That is an 85-15 test. 85% of our revenue has to come from members or patrons. Member revenue. So the way that we're going to continue working through the water system is we're going to create a water division, and then we're going to have the city of Portales become patrons, essentially members of Roosevelt County Electric. Moving margins that we produce on the water side, we give back as capital credits. The electric co-op operates on a not-for-profit basis, meaning any surplus revenue in excess of cost is allocated back to the membership. So the same thing would happen for the city of Portales. We operate on a very lean basis in order to keep our costs low and just be as efficient as possible. So that's something that we will do. I think that's the only thing that I need to cover today is once we go into the next stages of the process, we will go into a cost of service study, determine what that cost is, and determine the best way to efficiently charge the city for that water. We got a number of options that we'll do, but we will continue those topics and those conversations at a later date. Thank you.
Yeah, so before we move on, Chris, I just wanted to add to that a little bit, I think that the beauty of RCEC getting involved is we are a not-for-profit company. And so, we can do things at cost, move very nimbly, be very quick. We don't have the restrictions, that a municipality would have to work through or the red tape. So, and with that, we're able to do things very efficiently and very quickly. And I just love the idea that we'll basically be doing this at cost, and any margin that we do make or any profit that we would make would be allocated back to the city through capital credits and patronage. So we're hoping that the city would feel good about that model. I think it's a good pro to the proposed project here. But I'll go ahead to the next slide. I think it's no secret we have a dark cloud over our community. We've done a little research and there's 5 building permits pulled. So I've been told for the new housing last year. I think that, if you get on social media, you see people saying, should we even live here? Do we have water? Should we move to Clovis? What is Clovis doing differently than we're doing? And, after we've really started investigating wells, there's a good amount of water. We found a lot of water in our well field. We've now, as Kendall was saying earlier, taken enough with the wells that we've purchased, we've taken enough water out of production and nearly that was currently being used for agricultural use. And even once we're using municipal water, changing it to municipal water, we'll still be saving roughly what the city uses a year completely, almost completely. And just not watering, the agriculture circles that it was before. And, not that we're trying to put any farmers out of business or anything, but I think that's important to say again, that we're not pumping that out of the aquifer that we were before. And so there's a lot of pros to this. I do believe there's a good amount of water with this project, with the city's current plans and the new pipeline coming down the road. I don't see why we don't have a 70 to 100-year water supply. And so, we're hoping we could be a good fit to provide some auxiliary water to the city and hope the dark cloud away from our community. And let's get back to growing. Let's get back to prospering. And I think this could really make a splash, pun intended. So, again, here we're just saying, hey, let's work together. Let's provide some hope for our community, some security for our community, some economic growth and stability. And change the public perception on Roosevelt County as a whole. I think we can do that. So if we move to the next slide, the last slide here, next steps, really all we need to know is if the city approves the design concept. And if they do, we don't need to make any major adjustments. We're ready to move this into financial modeling. We'll work through a consultant that will help us find the best cost for water to where we're operating at our cost, where we can cover our margins to, keep our side happy and make sure that our banks are happy. And then any profit we do make will be allocated back. And so once the project's made whole. And so really before we can move to financial modeling, we need to know if we have a good concept design here, and this is what you want to see a breakdown on. So with that, we'll stand for any questions.
Eric, and this may be premature, but do you have a gallon per minute average that your wells are producing?
Of all the wells that are in the project scope, physically, if we went and turned them all on, and I'm not talking about water rights, I'm just talking about physically what they can do. We could produce over 3,000 gallons a minute. I think we're closer to 3,600 gallons a minute.
What about your per well average?
I don't know if we have a per well average, but I'll tell you that the wells that we're looking at tying in to meet this first stage of 1,000 gallons per minute will only be about 5 or 6 of those wells. And so we'll have plenty of wells to expand into. And we want to keep some in reserve. That way we can rotate wells and let wells recharge and so on and so forth. And then have options to expand into. So we hadn't even, we're looking at a certain portion of our project scope. And we hadn't even, started looking at the full project. There's no need to right now. We think that that would be good. If we can get, like Kendall said, up to 58% boost in water supply, we think we're doing good for our community, and it gives us room to grow and provides us some more water security as the project grows.
Any more questions directly for?
So I just want to clarify, we've had a couple of meetings obviously about some of this, but this will also give us an opportunity to rest our wells. Once we get this up and running, so we're gonna be able to rest more wells on our end, which is gonna make our equipment last longer. You're resting wells on your end, rotating wells. So I think that's a big part of the longevity of our own well field is gonna be much longer now because we're gonna be able to rest some of those wells and do work on them and repair them and fix them up. And I know there's other things in the pipeline, but I think that's pretty important that we're not only are we saving water because we're taking it out of ag, but we're also saving wear and tear on the well field. Wherever we balance out on how many gallons is gonna be purchased or whatever, that's down the road, but it's still gonna help. It's gonna help. So.
Yeah, great point, great question. I'll add to that a little bit. When we do our financial modeling, we want to bring back 2 options if we can. Per gallon with a minimum that would keep the co-op whole. But also we'd like to see if we can get our consultant to work up a price to where it's just a set fee and we're not worrying about how many gallons are flowing. That would help us avoid whose wells are running and questions from the public. But also it also helped the water operators decide, that they take the financial responsibility out of that decision, and they can say, hey, if we want to rest our entire well field while we go do maintenance on our tanks, of course, when the time of year allows anyway. I think, say winter months, they could have the opportunity to say, hey, let's just run on RCECs while we go maintain some tanks or well field, or we have a main that broke or whatever it may be. And so that way, it gives them operational options as they're moving out throughout the year. But yeah, of course, and they could also take a portion of their well field out and run on some wells over here and rotate and give them a lot of options. And so I think that would be a good model if we can work towards that as well.
So the initial analysis of the water quality coming out of these wells, is there anything that's a concern that you're gonna have to treat for? Or is it gonna go into a plant, or is it gonna be each individual wellhead that's gonna have a treatment of it?
Yeah, great question. We're still working on water quality. We're meeting with the engineering team this morning. It's per well. I think some wells are cleaner than others. So we're trying to cherry pick the better ones. And then, of course, as we phase into other projects, or other portions of the project, we can, worry more about the ones that we need to filter or treat. But as Kendall said, anything that we do will be up to NMED code, or else it will not enter the water system, and we won't be allowed to anyway. And so, yeah, some of it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Some of it doesn't. And so we're working through that with engineers. I think that the concept of design that we're talking about today is, do you want a demand of 1,000 gallons per minute? And if you want us to work towards that, and then on the back end, we go figure out how to make sure that happens with nice clean water. So.
I didn't hear you say it, but you mentioned that you folks are a not-for-profit organization. And that does in fact benefit the city on cost of the water. But you're also buying the electricity at wholesale. Does that also benefit the city in that regard?
It probably will, Mr. Chair. I just need that's part of the financial modeling that we'll have to work through with the consultants
Okay.
But I would assume that you'll see some savings and some benefit there as well.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I think Mike hit on it a minute ago, we've had several meetings and kind of discussed a lot of this, so. A lot of the questions that we've had previously have already been answered, so if we kind of. Just looking to move forward from this point.
If I could add one more thing, I want to touch on the tank size as well. I know that there's been discussion of, large storage. We did look at that. We worked through that with our team. The reason we settled at the 750,000 gallon tanks for water quality. If you get too much storage for a system this size, you actually can have the water degrade if it's too large of a storage container. So we wanted to keep it to where we could flow that water and make sure that we have the water quality necessary. And so we didn't touch on that, but I thought it was important to add.
Plus, it gives you a way of diverting and using out of one tank if you've got problems with the others.
Exactly.
You were talking about funds coming back to the city after you're made whole. About how much time is that?
It'll depend. I'll have a lot more of that answered once we can run the model. We really need to know, if you guys were to come back and say, well, we want 2,000 gallons a minute, well, then we need to go back to the drawing board and before we can move forward. But if we can settle on that, we can start to predict that. And of course, the funds that come back are anything in excess of operations. So, I would assume we get, 8 or 9 years down the road, and we'll probably be in a pretty steady cycle of the city seeing a check. But it will take a little while for us to make the project whole, but we're not going to charge any more than we need to operate. And if we do make any extra, it comes back to you.
And I'm not making light of that aspect because it's a wonderful thing, but it would be shared with your other members of the co-op also.
No, actually, this is a separate water division. And, we had a good discussion with our board, whether to design this as a for-profit or through the co-op model. We actually settled on the co-op model because it allows us to actually separate the financials completely from our electric members. If we were to do a for-profit, our members would have had to invest in this. You could say, not that we didn't use, some investments to get it done, but as time accumulates, the project will make itself whole and it'll be kept completely separate, meaning that the electric members at some point can be completely separated from it. And that way we can alleviate them of concerns of, especially the ones that are further out on our system and may not ever see a drop of this water. We don't want them having to bear the weight of this project either. So we wanted to be able to separate it.
Any further questions?
Is the floor open for everybody or
Yes.
it's just, okay? Is that true? Floor's open?
You go ahead.
Okay, so, here pretty soon the city owes, the people a 40-year water plan. So, Ms. Flores is working on a contractor for putting that kind of stuff together. And I think a task maybe to the Water Advisory Board is to start to determine in a 40-year scope, how much does the city want, how much water does the city want to provide? How much they want to look for outsourcing for somebody like Eric's team to provide, et cetera. And we know how old our water supply infrastructure is and how it degrades. And my intent right here is not to sharpshoot you or give you hard questions. But I think many of your questions have already been answered before I got here, but to also get you a list of questions. And one of mine would be based on what you know about the hardware and stuff. And this is only because we have to have a 40-year plan. Like, what's the hardware worth in time? Is it a 25-year set of hardware, a 50-year set, or a 75-year set? Like, I think we know tanks are about 70 years, but the other stuff. And along with that, like when we start looking at this, when can we look at resting a lot of your productivity, kicking up our productivity, et cetera? And because I think these kind of things are gonna have to be in that 40-year plan. Some of these. So I think we probably owe them a little more due diligence in asking some questions that help get towards that, because we're going to be asking those questions of ourselves here pretty soon. Once an engineering team comes in and starts helping us figure out this 40-year path forward. So it's probably something like if we broke this down into a pie, 1 decade, 2 decades, 3 decades from now, how much is organic to what we own and the land we lease and the wells that we pump with? What percentage do we want to hit with milestones? What percentage do we want with companies like RCEC and what percentage inevitably will probably be recycled water, et cetera. Where do we see that? And I think that'll help you define your business model a little bit and put things together. Or I'm way off track, I don't know. But I think I'm kind of in the ballpark.
Okay, yeah, great question. The beauty of the co-op in this project and the way that we're proposing this as well is we're not going and just investing one time to have a few wells. What we're wanting to set up is just like we do on the electric side, a perpetual model of making sure, we agree on 1,000 gallons a minute. We're gonna make sure you continue to have that. And do what was necessary to do that on the back end. So we're not just buying, a few wells and when they go bad or the tanks go bad, we have to go ask for more money. No, that this will be modeled to where we can continue to provide that service.
You feel like a statement of work. We're gonna say something like, we're gonna rely on you to give us 900 gallons a minute.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah,
That's gonna help you.
Exactly. And just like on the electric side, we don't come to our members and say, well, transformers are too old now. You need to go, no, we have those in our plans to continue to keep the business operating.
Yeah, and I think I was asking about clarity, like that's kind of what you need from us, right?
Yeah.
Not a commitment, but you need us to ask a question like, would you provide this and is that what we want to do? And type of thing.
Yes, and I'll also say, second part to that is this is an expandable project. So, we're Kendall said we're investigating 35 wells right now. And so I'm only going to use about 20% of those to start with. We can expand if we need to. And if the city comes back and says, well, let's make that 2,500 gallons a minute in the future, we can, set a plan to get there and try to do that. So I see what you're saying. I will say, and I've said it in a water advisory meeting before, we'd also be open to managing your well field if you need us to. And so we have a good team here. We're going to be in the well business anyway. And if you need us to manage your well field, we'd be open to having those discussions to help you on that side as well.
And I guess the question on, how long does a well and stuff last is moot at that point, because if you're signing up to deliver it, you're signing up to deliver it, doesn't matter.
That's the way I see it. Yeah, we'll do what we need to do necessary on the other side to, can continue to provide that service. Remember our well field will have fully technology enabled, SCADA enabled. We'll be able to ramp things up, monitor, turn things on and off from the office. So that will be monitored daily. Of course, when we have the people in the field, they'll be working out there as well.
Now, it's just, I don't know too much about SCADA. But if we're investing in SCADA, which we are, and you're investing in SCADA, and we have a meeting of the mines or the water, will my SCADA talk to your SCADA?
It depends on how we structure it. And I think that's what led us to,
that's kind of what
that's what led us to the discussions of managing your well field. If we're going to be putting out SCADA devices and technology across our well field, it wouldn't take us much to continue on once we complete our project. And then, like you said, if we're working with the same devices that are speaking the same language, there's a great opportunity to, save some redundancy and just, but that would be up to the city.
Right. And I think I'm just kind of throwing out some examples and some questions that I know big rough order magnitude questions have already been cleared up. I think now we're starting to get into the realm of asking some of these granular questions going forward. And I think I would lean on the water advisory board to start all of us asking these types of questions so you guys can help refine your business model. And that's going to help refine the financial analysis. And remember, our MOU or MOA is really where we are, is to share information. That's where we are with that. So just as a reminder.
And I wanted to also add, elderly asked, would the electric members benefit? They would, and so I misspoke there. The benefit would be, is what we're hoping as we grow more electric load and we can sell some more electricity. And that would in turn help the electric members. And that brings us back to the beginning of why we got involved. So, yeah.
They gain money.
Keep the electric side whole. Yeah.
And Eric, did I hear you say that you believe, and of course, nobody knows for sure, but that you found a 70-year supply of water out there?
I was just throwing out a number. I would love to give you that exact number of what we think we have. But I truly believe that we have sustainable water. Especially if we can start rotating well fields and that are in different areas geographically, and then you have Ute pipeline that comes in, and I really don't see why. I guess what I'm getting at is there shouldn't be a reason for anyone to be worried about living in Portales, New Mexico. The water's there.
Does anybody have any more questions for these gentlemen?
I know it probably has to come from this group, but I for one would like to give them the okay to move on with the financial modeling for the thousand gallons. And get that next step rolling so we can keep moving forward with this. And then once we see that financial model, then we can make decisions from there.
So that is where we're at right now, and I'm gonna lean over to you here in just a second on that one. So we thank you guys for the presentation, Eric and Preston and Kendall. And at this time, it would be in order for the Water Advisory Group to consider recommending that Roosevelt County Electric Cooperative move forward with the concept and negotiations and present these water supply options to City Council. So would you like to make that motion?
Just would like to.
Okay.
Just exactly what you said.
We have Thomas that has made a second. So it has been moved and seconded, and the motion is now open for discussion. Is there any other discussion on that motion? If there is no further discussion, then we would proceed to vote. And the motion before us is that the Water Advisory Group recommend that Roosevelt County Electric Cooperative move forward with the concept and negotiations and present these water supply options to the City Council, and that would allow City Council to, please, no pun intended, drill down on the needs and the options that that they would like you guys to move forward on. So with that, all in favor of this motion? Aye. Yeah. Anyone opposed to this?
Mr. Chair, since I am on the committee, I don't know who's taking minutes, but I'd like to reflect that I abstain from that.
Stay. I got you. No problem. And so the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. So at this time, we're good. And we would allow for any public comment for up to 3 minutes if anyone desires.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you guys, Preston, Kendall. So is there any other business that we did not know about which could not have been foreseen prior to the posting of the agenda that we need to discuss today?
No.
Okay.
But Mr. Chair, I would like to address the board of the Roosevelt County Electric and thank you for giving us your people a direction and stepping forward to help out with the community. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So this was a special meeting for this purpose. So we already have our next meeting day for the Water Advisory Committee on 9/23. And I would like to throw this out there. Obviously, this isn't a voting type situation, just a general thought is the very next day we have a public works meeting. And I do not like to waste meetings. I'm wondering if we might consider having one or the other, if everyone could be thinking about that. And possibly with one or the other, if both are not necessary, that we could have a summation from the city as to tie together all these water projects that we have going on, that we could make public knowledge of at one or the other. So
okay,
we can think about that. Think about if both meetings are necessary.
we'll do that.
And since we have discussed all the items on the agenda, and are there any objection to adjourning this meeting? Okay, having no objection, this meeting is adjourned.